A Sanctuary broadcast.
Good morning, good day, and overall, I hope you had a fantastic Christmas. Today it is just me. Everybody else is away doing Christmas. It's Bareth87 here. Yeah, so everybody else is away doing Christmas and everything. But I thought I would come in after doing my 24-hour stream over Christmas and to just talk to you a little bit about the future of the podcast and everything in between. Now, firstly, welcome in, and I hope you're all having a fantastic day, or whenever you're hearing this as well, because you guys are absolutely amazing. I'd first like to say thank you to each and every single person who is in the Discord as well. So if you are in our Discord, thank you so much. And as it stands, I'm not doing too well on the old football this week. So you got about time when this was filmed. Also, congratulations, Dark Gaming TTV, because he recently went to do a challenge, 12-hour challenge. I don't think he completed his 12-hour challenge, like, as in on the game he was aiming for, but he did, like, a 12-hour stream. Congratulations to him. And a big thank you to him and all the other members of the community. Now, let's go in and let's start talking about 2020 a little bit detailed. 2020 was definitely a year that I don't think anyone could ever have imagined. We went into 2020 with the excitement of knowing Final Fantasy VII Remake was going to be coming out, that there was a new Assassin's Creed, that games like Cyberpunk and The Last of Us Part 2 was all on its way out. Cyberpunk was probably the one that most people were looking forward to, as it's been in long due waiting, and I feel that's where I should start this review of 2020, because let's start on the lower side of it. Cyberpunk certainly has had its issues with its launch. Any game that gets pulled from a store is definitely had issues. However, if you have had a relatively bug-free experience, no, I'm not going to say relatively, I don't think anyone's had a relatively bug-free experience. If you've had bugs that haven't destroyed the gameplay for you, for example, done something kind of important cutscene, then generally it's getting very good reviews. 7 to 9 out of 10. They're good reviews. Some people would say 9 was an excellent, a nearly spotless game. For me, it's why I'd never give it over a 7. I'm arguing from my gameplay time of it, if it was a 6 or a 7. But that's because I had some bugs in some really big storytelling times, and it just destroyed the immersion. On top of that, we can go to a game where the Roving Bear said was one of the best games of the year, and he would have had it as one of his games of the year, which is Animal Crossing, because it's we spoke about it previously, and it's obviously one of those games which is very much enjoyed by the whole range of people across all ages. And I think that's really, really good. I think they did a very good job there, and I think it met its hype. I stopped playing it around Easter because there was far too many eggs, and then I never really got back onto the whole hype train of what was going on. So that was another one. And then we had The Last of Us Part 2, obviously, that wiped out on the awards. It did extremely well. Congratulations to it. We did talk about maybe it got too many awards in the last podcast. Go back and give that a listen. Me and Bear was talking about that. And then you had Marvel's Avengers, which, for me personally, Marvel's Avengers was a very good game. I think it was aimed at the wrong character. I think the character that they used was a little bit dull. I really didn't enjoy her. She came across too fangirly, and I did not enjoy what was brought within that. However, I see a good future for that game. If they keep developing it, I see a good future for that game, but there wasn't much content when it first came out. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I never actually played that. The Roving Bear played that one, and it looked like he had an absolute ball with it. More because you could go see York, I think, than anywhere else. And I think that was more part of his love and admiration for that game. Ghost of Tsushima, obviously did pretty well as well. Hades, Ori, Spiritfarer, all games that I've not actually played, but they all look like they've done really, really well. And if any of you do have played it and you are on YouTube, please feel free to write them in the comments down below about what you thought of those games. It takes me to this year being the year for me of online multiplayer fun games. I think slowly we are stepping away from the first-person shooter online. Don't get me wrong, they're still huge. I think we're slowly getting away from that, and we're starting to see more go into the online multiplayer party games, what I would used to have called like Nintendo's niche. But now people are starting to do the online and multiplayer. Maybe 2020 was the best year for them. Because obviously, on that point, I'm talking about Among Us and Fall Guys. Among Us was obviously free when it started out on the PlayStation. Fall Guys was. Sorry. Among Us, obviously free on your mobile phones, etc. so forth. So it's nice and easy to play. The other game, and probably the final game, two final games, because I can talk a bit more in depth with these two. The Final Fantasy VII Remake, I want to talk a little bit more about. And also, the other one is obviously Phasmophobia. Phasmophobia, which is up for the VR Awards on the Steam Awards, which is absolutely amazing. Good luck to it. I hope it does well. It is a fantastic game. If you've not played it yet, it's definitely worth picking up. If you like your Most Haunted and things like that, really good. Still a lot of work to do on the game, I think. It is in beta. It is the popular way to release games now. It isn't a completed game yet, but it's a popular way to bring games out. The houses are pretty good. You can definitely see the systems that they've used, and overall, very, very good. The tutorial isn't the best tutorial in the world, so playing it with people is definitely easier than playing it alone and getting used to it. I really, really understand the tutorial, and there is a few bugs in it, but I don't mind that as much. But they do have a really good dev team of like 1 or 2 people, and support base inside their Discord as well. Which is good, because it's a smaller base game. Then the Final Fantasy VII Remake. This was definitely not a remaster. This was definitely a remake. And spoilers coming. Okay. So that should give people enough time if they don't want to hear spoilers. Final Fantasy VII Remake was an absolutely amazing game. And I'm not going to go too much into it, but I am going to go and spoil a few things. It definitely feels like a couple of the characters know the past game in my mind. There's just some subtle changes in gameplay, and it feels like what happened. This is a follow-on from Final Fantasy VII. For example, I think she knew where to meet Clad this time. There's just different elements of it, and some characters survive who you thought would die if you played the first one, and changes the fates of some characters. They've added areas in, and they've added strange spirits in as well. I would defend the fact that these spirits are actually there to help try and preserve the original timeline. So these spirits are aiming to keep the timeline on track to what the first game was. Whereas, because they only really gravitate to a few of the characters and a few key points. So these characters are trying to maintain the original timeline, because it's at these points that you generally see them. which is a really interesting way of doing it. I'm sure that I will, when I next go through it on stream, which because I will do, I'll go through it again very soon on stream. I might actually I've got the original as well, so I might play the original to that point and then be able to completely compare the two differences. But yeah, it definitely feels at that point there is quite a few little pieces to the puzzle, and I really like that. I really like they didn't go for something where they've just copy and pasted it. I do think what they've added a lot of solid work into that. That leads me to what's new in 2021. So, with a podcast, we've been thinking about this quite a bit. And something that I really wanted to do for these podcasts is have game-specific podcasts at certain times. One of the games that me and Sophie Bubbles, for example, really likes to play, and we're going to have some guests on, is Stardew Valley. Now, Stardew Valley is an absolutely amazing game. We play it quite a little bit on stream as a group, and it offers a wide range of things that you can do and things that you can enjoy. Now, the online version, we often have a few little niggles and a few small issues with it, with like connectivity and things like that, with like one of us just really struggling with it a little bit. But that's probably their internet more than anything else. So in 2021, we'll be doing Stardew Valley specific podcasts. Our aim on these is to go through all of the characters, all of them that you can romance, and all of them that you can get to know, and just like talk about their character development and the social side of Stardew Valley. The good, the bad, and the plain downright disgusting. Now, this is going to be an interesting podcast to do because when you look at Stardew Valley, you get to see some interesting behaviors when romancing or making friends with somebody. For example, one of the things, if you're romancing Shane, for example, whose storyline, spoilers coming again, is a alcoholic, then you give him beer. This is not what you would be doing in real life. Basically, the way to romance people in Stardew is to become an enabler. It makes for an interesting topic when we get to the likes of Shane or Pam. Obviously, other characters have other vices, and I'm sure we will get on to talking about them in those podcasts. They'll be coming early 2021. Now, we move on to another podcast that we will be doing, and this will be a Life is Strange one. So we'll be looking at Life is Strange Before the Storm and Life is Strange to begin with. We might get to Life is Strange 2, but that just depends on when the roving bear gets around to playing Life is Strange 2. We'll probably also touch on other on other things that Don't Nod have made. So, for example, Tell Me Why. We'll probably have that involved in podcasts as well, just so that we can take a look at, and maybe we'll throw some other story-based games in there as well, so we can have some specific ones. If you've got any story-based games that you think were absolutely amazing, then that is something that I'd really like to talk to you guys about as well. Furthermore, in 2021, I've started a TikTok. Yeah, I started TikTok. I feel ashamed. No, I don't. It's good fun, and I've enjoyed doing this to you that I've done so far. So this Christmas, basically, that's the plans for the early 2021 times. We'll obviously be doing weekly podcasts as well, and we'll be with Christmas out the way now, and the build up to Christmas, and hopefully people's work schedules beginning to level off, and hopefully getting away from COVID as much. Even though start of 2021 is not going to be ideal, but we're going to work forward, and we're going to go on to improve and grow as a whole. Now, one challenge I set people via TikTok and my stream was 3 things over Christmas. Now, I thought this was really important to do, and that's why I mention it now as well. I challenge people to do 3 things. 1, and you can still do this now, it doesn't matter if it's not Christmas Day now, we're still in that festive period, was to contact your friends, your family, and everybody in between. Speak to them, talk to them, ask them how they are, even if it's just for 5-10 minutes. You won't regret it. What else would you be doing for that 5-10 minutes? Maybe while you're cooking, you can jump on the phone to a family member. So it'd be nice. It's nice and easy to do. Just contact people. There's lots of ways to contact people. There's Discord, there's Snapchat, there's phone calls, there's text messages, there's WhatsApp. Lots of ways that aren't too time obstructive, and really nice to catch up with people. I see loads of people have had Zoom calls with like elderly relatives. How happy it makes them, and that's really important. The second one was to take stock and remember this year. So, like, going forward, what would you change? What would you do differently? How would you do things? Take stock of the moments that we've wasted and the moments that we've not really stepped up and used every moment to its most potential. That's not even a word there. Most prevalence, where you could be possibly doing like a multiple of things, like just dropping someone a text message, make sure they're okay as you're waiting for your computer to load up. So, for example, there's times that we don't use our time productively, and COVID has gave us a lot of time to not use that time productively. I own up to that one. But 2021, I'm going to be using my time a lot more productively. Or, well, I hope to. So then we go on to the third thing, which was, it goes on from the second, actually. We all know how it feels to feel alone now. I think most of us do, at least. I suffer with anxiety disorder, and I like to be alone. But it is nice to have people as well, you know. And when we look at this year, and we all complain that Christmas is cancelled because we can't see anybody. Yes, people were claiming that Christmas was cancelled because they couldn't go out and see. Wow, you know, it's something. However, Christmas wasn't cancelled for that, because there's so many people every year who suffer with that same issue. That same thing where they don't see anyone all over Christmas. They're alone. But because it's happening to more people now, more people are going, oh, this is a really bad issue. It's always been a bad issue of people being left alone. We can leave 2020 5 times better than when we started it. All we have to do is learn. All we have to do is move forward and stop being selfish with what we think we deserve. It's not what we can do for, it's not what people can do for us, it's what we can do to help other people. The better society becomes, the more support you'll get as well. But that's me getting off my high horse now, because I obviously believe a lot of that, because if you could just come in to see my streams, we talk about like isolation, depression, and all that quite a lot. And that's why we started off this podcast period. The first 4 weeks, we spoke about mental health, and because I think that was deeply important. But that takes me to the final thing that I am going to talk about. And that is games being released next month. Now, obviously, this is not a full list, because inside a quick Google search, you can't really get one, but I'm going to be using Games website. and take a look and see what we've got. So for example, you've got Five Nights at Freddy, the core collection, Ghost of a Tale, Hitman 3, Ride 4. Then something that interests me a little bit, Theme Park Simulator. That's going on to the Nintendo Switch. That could be quite an intriguing one. That's on the 22nd of January. Might take a look at that one myself. Do Not Feed the Monkeys is also on the Switch on the 22nd of January, and none of these games really jump out at me and go, that's amazing. Hitman 3, obviously, is probably the biggest title that I've looked at so far. Yeah, it's going to be out, because it's not until like February where I see a game where I'm like, oh my, I want to play that game. Because in February, Little Nightmares 2 comes out, and I'm really, really looking forward to Little Nightmares 2. I'm very disappointed they didn't make Little Nightmares 2 a two-player. I thought there was quite a bit of scope to make Little Nightmares a two-player game where you could work together to do puzzles, but or just have some elements of Little Nightmares, a multiplayer version of Little Nightmares. I think that would have been an absolutely amazing move. But however, it does cut off some of the market if you don't have a multiplayer game. If you can hear my desk vibrating, that's my PlayStation 4 that was just downloading something. Other than that, I don't really see any big games coming out. Persona 5 Strikers is also coming out on the 23rd of February. So Persona 5 continuing their release dates. But there we go. That's basically the major releases, I think. And then March, it looks like there's a new Prince of Persia coming out in the Sand of Time remake, actually. That'll be an intriguing one to see how that works. But no, I mainly wanted to look at January. And Nightmare Boy looks pretty cool as well, by the way. You want to take it looks quite comic-y, which is awesome. Since Persona 5, I've got into that kind of little version. So hopefully it's going to be amazing. But no, that's about everything really from today. I hope you enjoyed this. This was just like a quickly thrown together one just to talk about what we're planning to do in the future. And just give my opinion a little bit on the games that's happened in 2020 and like how they've helped progress everything. I'm looking forward to doing the Life is Strange series and Stardew Valley series for the podcasts, because that will be absolutely amazing. Obviously, Tell Me Why, which was an absolutely amazing game in my opinion that came out this year. Definitely my top 5 games of the year. That was obviously topped by Final Fantasy VII. That's my favourite game of this year. I do need to go back and play that on stream again. But on that note, I am going to wish you well. I'm going to thank you for listening today. Sorry it's only been me, but it does mean that you've had the chance to listen to me, my opinion on a few things. And I'm going to wish you a fantastic few days until we reach 2021, and I'm going to wish you an amazing 2021 as well. If you want to catch me on stream, it's www.twitch.tv/Bareth87. If you want to catch my friends, it's www.twitch.tv/TheRovingBear and www.twitch.tv/SophieBubbles. As you'll be able to see in all the other podcasts if you just go down, check their information is down there. But overall, that is where our story ends, and I'm going to wish you all a fantastic day. Remember, before the next podcast comes out, we will be having D&D, one more on the 1st of the month. So if you are a D&D fan, I'll be DMing another D&D session on the 1st of January 2021. And we will also be having a New Year's Eve party on stream between me and Bear, just playing new games, seeing in the New Year's with anybody who is from in and around Australia to the UK. Sorry, Americans, it's not a 24-hour stream, this one. But no, so that is how it really looks. I'm going to wish you all well again. I will catch you all on another podcast, and I'll thank you very much for everything, and I'll see you in the new year.
Beep, beep. You've been listening to a Sanctuary broadcast. We will now resume regular programming.